President Trump will do that, and he will start mass deportations on day one. And I can't wait to see it happen.
That right there is MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, James Comer, Jim Jordan. I could go on and on and on with the list, but that is MAGA. And as Donald Trump has said, we've showed you these clips, he says that 95% of the Republican Party today is MAGA. Everybody else is rhinos, and the Republican Party doesn't exist anymore. What I like that the Democrats are doing right now, or the broader pro-democracy community, is speaking to all democracy-loving Americans and letting the world know what the Democrats, what the pro-democracy community stands for, what the values are. And you compare that with what MAGA Republicans are doing, and all they stand for is nothing, so all they fall for is everything, which is whatever Donald Trump tells them to do. And let's look at their own words. And then let's compare them to what people like Governor Pritzker is saying, or Mitch Landrew, who's one of the co-chairs of Biden's re-election campaign, or compare it to even what Liz Cheney is saying, or Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz. Let's do that right now. This is MAGA Republican Andy Biggs. And Andy Biggs is on a right-wing network here, and he goes, what have Republicans done? Like, what can I tell our voters what we've done for them? Here, play this clip.
We have nothing, in my opinion, we have nothing to go out there and campaign on, Chris. It's embarrassing.
Right. Well, I know the Republican Party in the Congress, the majority has zero accomplishment.
I don't know. I think I can tell you. I mean, maybe it's that you've sucked up to Donald Trump and have did whatever he wants, his ego, to feel good on a specific day. You've done that. You've praised Donald Trump. You've demonstrated to the world, to this country, that you are okay with a dictatorship, and you are affirmatively trying to take steps to undermine and destroy the entire American experiment. That's what you can tell your voters. Or how about this? MAGA Republican Chip Roy, when he gave a House floor speech a month or so ago, here's what Chip Roy had to say. Similar messaging, like, we're not doing anything for our voters. Play this clip.
One thing. I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, one, that I can go campaign on and say we did. One. Anybody sitting in the complex, if you want to come down to the floor and come explain to me one material, meaningful, significant thing the Republican majority has done besides, well, I guess it's not as bad as the Democrats.
And here's Vivek Ramaswamy, who dropped out of the race after the results in Iowa. And here's what he had to say. It's a short clip. Don't worry. I wouldn't make you watch anything longer than this when it comes to Ramaswamy. Play this clip.
And I see a Republican Party that has grown lazy. And I don't just mean lazy in the get out the vote operation sense of lazy. I mean lazy in the deeper sense of defining who we even are and what we actually stand for.
All right, there is actually no Republican platform other than whatever Donald Trump says. And that's just the reality. They literally ripped to shreds the Republican platform. There isn't a platform. You know, when you go into like the Democratic National Convention, the Republican National Conventions, there's like a platform, what you stand for. Republicans ripped it up, don't have one. They just say whatever Donald Trump tells us to do. And what I love is that the pro-democracy community right now has a cohesive message every day to the American people. And I believe it is resonating. I believe it is working. And I'm going to show you in a little bit how the data in Iowa, when you just don't go with silly media narratives, but you look at the data, what the data actually instructs us. And it's great stuff. But first, here's one of the co-chairs of the Biden re-election campaign, Mitch Landrew, former mayor of New Orleans from, I think, 2010 to 2018. Watch how he talks about democracy, democracy, democracy. Play this clip.
We also saw, just in Iowa anyway, an electorate among Republicans that has bought into the lie that Joe Biden did not win the presidential election. An electorate, a majority saying last night, they still would vote for Donald Trump even if he's convicted in one of his trials. What's your takeaway from all that?
No, I guess my takeaway is that's amazing. You have seen in the last 5 or 6 months every candidate for the presidency on the Republican side racing over to the extreme MAGA side of the party that Donald Trump clearly owns. The Republican Party that used to be a really great part of the American political system is dead. Donald Trump owns the MAGA right. And last night, 50,000 Iowans, 2/3 of whom believe that the election was stolen, election deniers, and actually say it doesn't matter to them if the president of the United States is actually a convicted criminal, should tell you all you need to know about the current Republican Party. That was evidence in Iowa last night that, by the way, does not represent most Republicans in the country, moderates and our independents. The president's quote earlier today was exactly right. Everybody's always known this was going to be a fight between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, but really a fight between two big ideas. Joe Biden wakes up every day. He ran for the presidency to save a democracy which is under threat. Donald Trump and MAGA Trumpism is an existential threat. It's the greatest threat to democracy that we've seen in our life, and all of us are going to have to get in this fight because we know how hard it's going to be.
Here's Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And in a world where we see Republican governors taking away rights from people, when we see the Republican governors in 15 states who are not allowing their own people, to take advantage of a program that President Biden has introduced to provide people who need meals and need food up to $120 to do that for their kids who may be hungry. 15 Republican governors have rejected that. You always hear stories about Governor Tim Walz doing things for the people. Like when we have Governor Josh Shapiro from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on, it's never like, let's ban books. It's always like, here's how we can help people's lives be better.
Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Inspired by NASA, Miracle Made uses silver-infused fabrics and makes temperature-regulating bedding so you can sleep at that perfect temperature all night long. Now, using silver-infused fabrics originally inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at that perfect temperature all night so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands and feel as nice, if not nicer, than the bed sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Meidas at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Meidas to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this.
Here, though, is Governor Walz of Minnesota. Play this clip.
When he tells you he's going to be a dictator, take that for real. When you try to lead an insurrection and call people hostages who attacked police officers in the place where so many of us, it's the center of our democracy, we have to quit covering this like it's, well, you know, he said, she said. The facts are pretty much in front of our face. The idea here is he said, I will restrict and ask for a federal abortion ban. Do we want to turn this into Idaho where women are being put at risk and can't even get basic health care? So no, that's not a scare tactic, and I think Joe Biden's doing exactly right. And it would behoove all of the rest of us, because I guarantee you, history's going to remember who stood up in this time and who said that. You don't have to necessarily agree with Joe Biden, but he respects the electoral process. He tries to not disenfranchise people. He doesn't propagate the big lie, and he's not trying to restrict freedom. So no, this is real. It's not your team. This is not the NFL playoffs and you wear a jersey of one team, whatever. Donald Trump is a threat to the democracy, and there's too many people that are following that. That's why we need to reelect Joe Biden, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Here's the Democratic governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. I mean, just think about this bench of pro-democracy leaders, all on message, boom, boom, boom. Here's Governor Pritzker. Play this clip.
This campaign is ready, willing, and able to take on any of those MAGA Republican candidates and beat them. No matter which version of the Trump MAGA agenda wins tonight, original, heels, or boots, the platform they are fighting for will cause irreparable harm to this country.
And here's Liz Cheney. By the way, on policy, probably disagree with Liz Cheney on a number of issues, and we probably disagree strongly on a number of other issues. But when it comes to the foundation of our very democracy, I appreciate what Liz Cheney's doing to speak the truth. And here she is at the Ebenezer Baptist Church. Here's what she had to say about Trump. Here's what she has to say about our democracy. Play this clip.
My friends, as we meet this afternoon, a great lie is doing its work, poisoning the bloodstream of our democracy. A former president refuses to acknowledge that he lost, and he has convinced millions that our elections and our democracy no longer work. He threatens the foundations of our nation and everything Dr. King persevered to save. If given the chance, this former president's allies in Congress will once again ignore the rulings of our nation's courts, the outcome of our elections, and the words of our Constitution. As they claim for themselves the right to throw out the votes of millions of Americans and install their former leader as our president, we must not let them prevail.
And just to show you, too, this is from The View. Here's how they're talking about these 15 Republican governors who are apparently okay with children in their states starving. Not apparently, they are okay with it. It's horrendous. Play this clip.
15 of the Republican state governors currently opted out of a food assistance program that is going to leave 8 million needy children hungry. That is what the Republican Party is doing right now. Forget about the border for a second and concentrate for a minute on these anti-abortion people, anti-choice people who don't seem to care that 8 million children will be hungry.
And those Republican governors will say things like, well, we don't want to support the welfare state, or this actually harms people. And meanwhile, these are states that routinely take millions of dollars and much more than that from the federal government when the governor thinks it's in their own self-interest for the Republican governor. But when it comes to actually helping people, they just want people to feel like crap, treat people like crap, and then use their propaganda networks like Fox and other right-wing media to then say, look, it's them. You're feeling like crap. It's the deep state. It's all of these other things they're doing. And here's, again, Joe Scarborough right here, and he makes a major point as well, which is Trump's a loser. Lost in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2022, 2023. And Scarborough says he's going to lose again. He's been a loser his whole life. He's been given all of this money, and what does he do? Loser. Loses it. Play this clip.
I got to say it. It's just the truth. Donald Trump's Republican Party lost in 2017. They lost in 2018. They lost in 2019. They lost in 2020. They lost in 2021. But they got that red wave in 2022 that the media told, oh, no, they didn't. The media was wrong again. They lost in 2022. They've lost in elections in 2023. And my money's on them losing again in 2024. Make no mistake about it. This election last night showed there are people who wanted to vote for a guy who said he wanted to terminate the Constitution, a guy who said he'd be a dictator on day one, a guy who said he wanted to execute generals that he didn't think were insufficiently loyal to him, a guy who said he wanted the economy to crash into a depression, which means all of those Iowa voters would lose their retirement accounts. But that's what he said he wanted because he wanted to be elected president again. This is a guy who, again, trashes the United States, trashes our military, trashes our institutions. He is not a conservative. He's a radical, focused on one thing, the destruction of any institution that can check his power. And by the way, that's not just me saying that. Wall Street Journal editorial pages said that. So many other conservatives have said that.
Here's Biden-Harris Communication Director Michael Tyler. Play the clip.
Well, listen, I think as it relates to polls, we've had a lot of hand-wringing over polls to begin this week, right? We had folks speculating over how voters might behave over a year out. We saw that on Monday. We saw it on Tuesday. But then we actually got real data on Tuesday night. You know, you had a bunch of headlines to start the day saying that if Democrats lost in places like Virginia or Ohio or Kentucky, that it would spell bad news for Joe Biden. But then polls closed and we won in Kentucky, we won in Ohio, we won in Virginia. And the reason we did so was because, of course, we had incredible candidates and incredible organizers putting in the work on the ground. But the common denominator between all of them is they were running on the same vision, the same message, the same policies that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris ran on in 2020, the same vision, the same messages, the same policies that Democrats ran on in 2022. And so we're confident if we keep our heads down and put in the work that we're going to be successful in November 2024, because what matters are results, not polls over a year out from Election Day.
And here's what President Biden posted. Looks like Donald Trump just won Iowa. He's the clear front runner on the other side at this point. But here's the thing. This election was always going to be you and me versus extreme MAGA Republicans. It was true yesterday, and it will be true tomorrow. And President Biden's been breaking records when it comes to fundraising. Just watch as the Fox host right here has to report on that. Here, play this clip.
The Biden-Harris campaign yesterday revealed they have $117 million of cash on hand, touting it as the historic haul, which, quote, sends a clear message the Team Biden-Harris coalition knows the stakes of this election and is ready to win this November.
And you know who gets it? And I want to give kudos to them. Drudge, of all places. Drudge, which always had a kind of right-wing conservative slant, but I think it's because they're actually conservative, not this MAGA mutation that favors dictatorship. Here's the headline from Drudge. And this is what we've been saying here on MeidasTouch Network. The morning after, half of Republicans didn't want Trump, and it's now a dead heat in New Hampshire. And here's the current polling in New Hampshire from American Research Group. Nikki Haley, 40%. Trump, 40%. DeSantis, 4%. Ramaswamy, 4%. And Hutchinson, 1%. But Ramaswamy's out, so we'll see where those votes break right there. And just take a look at this breakdown right here. I think this account, Ashley Votes Blue, did a pretty good breakdown. I live in Iowa, and here's the caucus breakdown. There was about 2,083,000 registered voters. 718,000 registered voters are Republicans. 102,000 in total of those Republicans voted, and 53,219 voted for Donald Trump. That's only 14% of Republicans voted for Donald Trump. And as my brother posted on social media, what would reporters be saying today if Joe Biden only won 51% of the vote in a primary in one of the most democratic states in the nation? Our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, wrote, Trump gets 51% of the approximately 15% of Republican voters in white, mostly rural Iowa who showed up to vote, and MAGA thinks 2024 is all over. Same people who told me they'd have a 40 to 50 seat House and a 6 to 7 seat Senate majority after the midterms when MAGA candidates swept GOP primaries. Here's what the Republicans Against Trump account stated. So Donald Trump, who's basically running as an incumbent, got the votes of 51% of 108,000 people who voted in the Iowa caucus, which is just 14.4% of the state's 752,000 registered Republicans. And this is supposedly why he'll easily win the general election. Ridiculous. Yet you have media narratives that fuel whatever Donald Trump throws their way. And they use the language of strong and dominant when that's just not reflective in the data. We'll see what happens in New Hampshire, but I can tell you what was happening on Tuesday. on Tuesday, while Donald Trump was in another defamation trial brought by E. Jean Carroll, after already being found liable for sexual abuse, which the judge made clear is the same thing as rape, Donald Trump spent the day during jury selection having somebody on his team, because when you're in the federal courtroom, you're not allowed to be using your phone, posting about 30, 40, 50 times posts defaming E. Jean Carroll. Over and over again, post. And here's the thing, as I've said before, if you knew someone who posted 30 to 50 times about any topic, fantasy football, golf, I don't know, cooking tips, you name it, 30 to 50 post. Just even say a list of the best restaurants in one day, 50 of them, best restaurant. You'd be like, whoa, is this person 50 in a row? Like, chill. Donald Trump's doing that to somebody who he has been found liable for raping. Adjudicated, determined, already found by a jury in May. And that's the person who's leading the modern day Republican Party. It's because it is full-blown MAGA, and the United States of America has basically the equivalent of a referendum. It's like a ballot initiative for the United States of America come November, come the election. Are you okay with that? Is that what you want America to be? Does that define you and your values? And I could layer on the fact that Donald Trump says he wants to terminate the Constitution, get the United States of America out of NATO. He attacks Ukraine, praises Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un, and other authoritarians. He says he can have SEAL Team 6, kill his political opponent, and have absolute immunity. If that's the MAGA America you want to live in, just know that that's what they stand for. That's MAGA. Or there is a pro-democracy community, a community rooted in normalcy, intelligence, and facts, where we could and should disagree over policies. That's okay. And we could disagree vehemently on issues. But foundationally, fundamentally, we believe in the pro-democracy community, in the rule of law. We believe in facts, and we believe that the chaos and craziness and unhinged behavior and loser behavior of Donald Trump does not represent our incredible nation. It's that simple. It's that simple. And if you believe all of those things that I just said about what America truly is, and you reject this MAGA chaos and MAGA nonsense, then you're going to vote blue for democracy. You're going to vote D for democracy. You're going to vote for Biden because those are the values that he's talking about. And you see the contrast right there in the video that we just made. So let me know how you feel in the comments. Hit subscribe. And especially if you are a former Republican or you consider yourself a mainstream Republican, not MAGA, or an independent, or you know people who have left the Republican Party because of MAGA, share those stories below. Over the weekend, I'm going to read some of those top stories. So please share those stories with me. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.